Another effect of sin on the sinner is self-deceit. Sinners in their minds or their heart have the capacity to fool themselves, and that is self-deceit. The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it? Jeremiah 17:9. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? Example of self-deceit, Matthew 7 and verse 3. Another effect of sin on the sinner is insensitivity. The more people sin, the more callous they become to sin and to the appeal of conscience. 1 Timothy 4:1 and 2, such teaching comes through hypocritical liars whose consciences have been seared as with a hot iron. Titus 1:15, to the pure all things are pure, but to those who are corrupted and do not believe nothing is pure. In fact, both their minds and their consciences are corrupted. Another effect of sin on the sinner is self-centeredness, concentrating on self-gratification and self-promotion to the exclusion of others. Another effect of sin on the sinner is restlessness, distress, or anxiety. Sin produces anxiety related to guilt and anticipation of judgment, either in this life or the life to come. Isaiah 57:21 and 22 puts it this way, but the wicked are like the tossing sea, which cannot rest, whose waves cast up mire and mud. There is no peace, says my God, for the wicked. Another effect of sin on the sinner is punishment as a natural consequence, even in this world. And such punishments may be meted out by the state, as Paul puts it in Romans chapter 13. Consequently, whoever rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For the rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you will be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Another effect of sin is the effect of sin on others. Sin can cause conflict and alienation. It can cause fights and quarrels. James puts it this way in James chapter 4, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You desire, but you do not have, so you kill. You covet, but you cannot get what you want, so you quarrel and fight. Another effect of sin is the inability to empathize. And it relates to the self-centeredness. If you get so self-centered by sin, then you have very little empathy for others. It can also result in rejection of authority. Sinners are rebels who first of all rebel against God, but as a result of that, they're very likely to rebel against the state or the mores of society as well. Another effect of sin on others is the inability to love or even to lead others astray. Sin suppresses and makes one willing to lead others astray. Matthew 24 verse 12 speaks about in the end times, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold. Or Proverbs 16 verse 29, a violent person entices their neighbor and leads them down a path that is not good. And then 2 Timothy chapter 3, they are the kind who worm their way into homes and gain control over gullible women who are loaded down with sins and are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning but never coming to a knowledge of the truth. They're people that oppose the truth. They are men of depraved minds who, as far as the faith is concerned, are rejected. But they will not get very far because, as in the case of these men, their folly will be clear to everyone. They don't show love. They lead others astray. Another effect of sin on others, there are unintended negative consequences between the generations. The sins of the parents negatively affect their children. Colossians 3 verse 21, fathers, do not embitter your children or they will become discouraged. So the sin of a father can affect the child. And in Exodus 20 and verse 5, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents of the third and fourth generation of those who hate me. And at least one application of that is that the sins of the parents may result in consequences that negatively affect the child. If the parent is a thief, ends up going to prison, well, that affects the whole family. Another effect of sin is the effect of sin on creation itself. As a result of Adam and Eve's sin, the ground was cursed. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat your food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. Genesis 3, verses 17 through 18. Sin also produces pollution of futility for creation, so that creation, metaphorically speaking at least, if it were alive, would long for the redemption to take place. Paul puts it this way in Romans chapter 8, for the creation waits in eager anticipation for the children of God to be revealed. For creation was subjected to futility, not of its own choice, but by the will of the one who subjected it, in hope that creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. So redemption of the world will result in redemption of creation from futility and corruption. So those are some of the results of sin. And that's why we need the gospel as a remedy. But that will await a future lecture.